I want to talk about some of the verses in Exodus because so many people get this attitude of, oh, the law's done away with, the law's done away with. So I want to cover some of the, quote, law that people say was done away with. And it's like, why do you have such a problem with this? Like, for instance, the Ten Commandments. You have the Ten Commandments are in chapter 20 of Exodus. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. You shall have no other gods before me. What's so wrong with that? But people don't understand what this means. You shall not make for yourselves an idol or any likeness of what is in heaven above or on earth beneath or in the water under the earth. You shall not worship them nor serve them. For I, the Lord, your God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers on the children on the third and fourth generations of those who hate me, but showing loving kindness to thousands to those who love me and keep my commandments. You shall not take of the name of the Lord and your God in vain, for the Lord will not leave him unpunished who takes his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is a Sabbath of the Lord your God. In it you shall not do any work, you, your son or your daughter or your male or female servant or your cattle or your sojourner who stays with you. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth and the sea and all that is in them, and rested on the seventh day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy. He made it holy. And all he asks us to do is remember the Sabbath, to keep it holy. People have a problem with that for some reason. They think, oh, well, you're going under the law because you're doing that. Verse 12, honor your father and your mother, that your days may be prolonged in the land which the Lord your God gives you. You shall not murder. And this is murder, this isn't killing, because sometimes self-defense is not murder. You shall not commit adultery. And Yeshua said, a man who looks at a woman with lust has committed adultery in his heart already with the woman. So that's still there. Verse 15, you shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. You shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, or his male servant, or his female servant, or his ox, or his donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbor. All the people perceived the thunder and lightning. And this was actually Yahweh talking to the people. But let's go to chapter 21. If you buy a Hebrew slave, he shall serve for 6 years, but on the seventh he shall go out as a free man without payment. If he comes alone, he shall go out alone. If he is the husband of a wife, then his wife shall go out with him. If his master gives him a wife, and she bears him sons or daughters, the wife and her children shall belong to her master, and he shall go out alone. But if the slave plainly says, I love my master, my wife, and my children, I will not go out as a free man. Then his master shall bring him to God. Then he shall bring him to the door or the doorpost, and his master shall pierce his ear with an awl, and shall serve him, and he shall serve him permanently. And this talks more about slavery, about who should be able to be released. Let's go down to verse 12. By the way, that whole thing of shall have his ears, an awl put through his ear, I have to wonder if that's where earrings came from. And what are earrings? Who are we displaying who our master is when by our earrings? That would be my question. Verse 12. He who strikes a man so that he dies shall surely be put to death. But if he did not lie in wait for him, but God let him fall into his hands, then I will appoint you a place in which he may flee, the cities of refuge. It was the cities of refuge. If, however, a man acts presumptuously toward his neighbor so as to kill him craftily, you are to take him even from my altar, that he may die. He who strikes his father or his mother shall surely be put to death. We have such a problem with that. He who kidnaps a man, whether he sells him or he is found in his possession, shall surely be put to death. He who curses his father or mother shall surely be put to death. How about down to verse 28 of chapter 21 of Exodus? If an ox gores a man or a woman to death, the ox shall surely be stoned, and its flesh shall not be eaten. But the owner of the ox shall go unpunished. If, however, the ox was previously in the habit of goring, and its owner had been warned, yet he does not confine it, or kills a man or a woman, the ox shall be stoned, and its owner shall be put to death. If a ransom demand is demanded of him, then he shall give for the redemption of his life whatever is demanded him. Whether it gores a son or a daughter, it shall be done to him according to the same rule. If the ox gores a male or female slave, shall give his or her master 30 shekels of silver. What did Judas betray Yeshua for? 30 shekels of silver, and this is why. If a man opens a pit or digs a pit, and does not cover it over, and an ox or a donkey falls into it, the owner of the pit shall make restitution. He shall give money to its owner, and the dead animal shall become his. If one man's ox hurts another so that it dies, then they shall sell the live ox and divide its price equally, and also they shall divide the dead ox. Or if it is known that the ox was previously in the habit of goring, yet its owner has not confined it, he shall surely pay ox for ox, and the dead animal shall become his. So all this is about being fair, having incentive to having incentive to take personal responsibility. The whole thing about building the parapet so that someone doesn't fall off. They had where they walked on the roof or whatever, I guess, back then. That was about protecting. Or if you dig a pit and something gets hurt because you did it, you're responsible for that. What's so wrong with that? That fosters personal responsibility because there is a cost. So I will continue again. Shalom, shalom.